you're scraping the bottom of the barrel all the time and forcing your body and your mind to run on fuel that just isn't there.
Starting with the basics. I know sleep is important, but why is sleep important?
It's helpful for, not just helpful for, but fundamental to our physical and emotional health. We repair damaged tissue, we release hormones, we fix the wear and tear on our bodies, we boost our immune systems. We are literally growing and flushing out the toxins from our brains. So janitorial work, repair work, all of that. And also during sleep, we're consolidating memories. We're practicing the things that we're learning during the day. We're processing our emotions, making sense of events, making sense of relationships between different events and different emotions. And that's where dreaming comes in. I could go on, but there are just so many things that sleep does for us that's absolutely fundamental to our health and well-being.
When someone is not getting enough sleep, what kind of goes first? Like, what are the signs and symptoms of, like, you're not getting enough?
The best way to tell is that they're able to become sleepy during the day. So there are some caveats, though, because we humans do have a sort of evolved nap culture. Like we have that circadian dip, that body clock dip in early afternoon. So if you feel like drowsy enough after lunch that you could take a nap, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not getting enough sleep. But if you're like in the morning feeling sleepy, in the late afternoon feeling sleepy, you're falling asleep while reading a book, you're falling asleep during meetings, you're falling asleep while driving or watching a movie, or even if you just feel so drowsy that you could fall asleep while you're stopped at a red light, that's the surest sign that you're not getting enough sleep or not getting enough quality sleep.
Is it pretty obvious?
Yeah, it's not like there are subtle signs that you have to hunt for and all these things have to line up for you to figure out that you haven't slept enough. Like if you haven't slept enough, your body will tell you.
I think, like myself included, pretty much addicted to caffeine. How much does caffeine just cover all this up? Like, normally I would be ready to go to sleep at 10 o'clock in the morning. But because I had caffeine, I just power right through it. So even with the amount of caffeine that we're drinking, would we still notice that? Or does caffeine cover this whole thing up?
That is a very good question. That is another big caveat, is sometimes caffeine covers it up. And that's actually why when you drink too much coffee, you actually end up being more tired because you've basically tricked your brain into thinking that you're not sleepy when you really are, when you haven't gotten enough of that physical recovery, when you haven't gotten enough of that emotional and mental recovery. But the coffee papers that over, and then you're scraping the bottom of the barrel all the time and forcing your body and your mind to run on fuel that just isn't there. So you end up going into the deficit and really, really becoming chronically tired.
Is there other signs besides being tired?
Well, not to split hairs, but there is a difference between sleepy and tired. So sleepy is a sign that you're not sleeping enough. Tired could be anything. Could be you had too much coffee, so like your body's running on fumes. Could be that you're bored, you're stressed, you haven't gone outside today, not enough fresh air, not enough sunlight, not enough laughter, fun, et cetera, et cetera. So tired could be from any source of things. And a big mistake that often many of my patients make is when they feel tired, they think they think that's because they didn't sleep enough. So then they go to bed really early, they try to take a nap, and then they can't fall asleep because they're not actually sleepy. And then they're getting more anxious because they're like, see, even when I'm tired, I have insomnia, I can't fall asleep. But that's tired, that's not sleepy. So only when you're sleepy are you missing out on sleep. And then if you're asking about other signs, so you may find yourself being more irritable, more cranky, more agitated, more anxious, because your body wants to tell you one way or another, you're not getting something that you need.
When we look at kind of the effects of it, right? Like, is it immediate effects? You didn't get enough sleep on Monday night, Tuesday you're going to feel a certain way. Or is it you didn't get enough sleep on Monday night and it's going to kick in on like Wednesday? Is it immediate or delayed or kind of both?
It's kind of both, but I think people tend to overestimate how much immediate effect there is. Like, usually the way we talk about it is like, well, I didn't sleep well last night, today I'm screwed. But sleep doesn't really, like, we should not really measure someone's sleep health on the scale of 24 hours of the scale of nights or days or hours. We really should be measuring it on the scale of weeks, months, years, decades, because sleep is very resilient and dynamic. We don't have to sleep the same way every day, every night in order to have overall good sleep health. Just like you don't have to eat exactly the same number of calories a day or eat, exactly the same balance of different types of nutritions each day in order to have a healthy diet. Like if your overall diet is diverse and has all the macronutrients and micronutrients that you need, you're probably good, right? So with sleep, it's the same thing. It dynamically changes based on the season of your life that you're in, the time of year that it is, the time of the month that it is, changes based on what you did during the day. Because, sleep is ultimately a recovery from the burden that you put on your body and brain during the day. So if you did less today, you probably will need less recovery tonight. If you did more today, you'll probably need more recovery tonight. But it can also be drawn out over the course of, a longer time period. Like if you're really needing to meet a work deadline, so you're going really hard on a work project, you can push through for like 2, 3, 4, 5 nights in a row and still be functioning and still be okay, but you'll probably crash after that, right? And we probably don't want to do things like that all the time, but once in a while, it's not a big deal.
How big are the differences in the sense that, okay, let's say I need 7 hours, but if I get 6 hours and 45 minutes, am I fine? Like, when do we start to kind of like, oh, that's not enough?
I'm going to be a little annoying and kind of dodge the question a little bit because I think the question implies that we can control exactly how much sleep we get and whether it matches what we think we need, right? So you started with the premise that you need 7 hours. So what if you get 6 hours and 45 minutes? Well, how do you know you needed 7 hours? And also, like, if you do end up getting 6 hours and 45 minutes, so what? What were you going to do? Like, somehow force yourself to sleep an extra 15? Where would that come from? So I think maybe if we start with the premise that our bodies know how much sleep we need, and this need is ever changing and is different between you and me, then we let go of these rigid expectations about it should be 7 hours, it should be 8 hours and 12 minutes. Like we should let those specific numbers go and instead just listen to our bodies for what we actually need, because our bodies are very good at telling us for the most part. And your body cannot produce more sleep than it needs. It just won't. And if you're getting less sleep than you need, it'll tell you by making you sleepy. So you don't need to control it. You just need to follow along to what your body tells you that it needs.
Are people that different? Or are we all kind of the same?
People are pretty different. I mean, there are people who need 5 hours of sleep, and there are people who need 10. So we often, I think, place too much pressure on we need to make this amount of sleep happen or else bad things will happen. But it's more like sleep is a signal. Sleep is a canary in the coal mine, maybe sometimes, that tells us the overall status of our health. And if our sleep is very extreme or very off or doesn't feel good, then it's a sign that something else is going on that we need to address.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, great. Like, oh no, there's another problem.
Well, but at least then you'll be targeting the right thing, right? So often I see people with insomnia who are like, I cannot fall asleep. I'm having so much trouble with sleep. My sleep is terrible. Sleep. They think they have a sleep disorder, but it turns out it's like something totally else that is
Yeah.
making it so that they don't fall asleep when they go to bed at the time that they think they should be falling asleep. And then they're putting all this pressure on themselves to fall asleep at that specific time. And then they don't, because that's just not what their body wants or needs at that moment. And that pressure that they put on themselves ends up turning into anxiety that fuels further insomnia. So what started out as like an anxiety problem, or started out as a depression problem, or started out as a not being physically active enough problem, or not drinking enough water problem, has now become a sleep problem.
The big question, right? Like, how can people sleep better?
Oof, that is a really big question. I think it depends on what their sleep problem currently is. And this is not me dodging the question this time. This is because the solution to different sleep problems can sometimes be polar opposites. So, for example, for someone who is purposely, pulling all-nighters, burning the candle at both ends, not giving themselves enough opportunity to sleep, I would give them advice like, hey, let's set a reminder on your phone to like start winding down at a certain time in the evening. Or like, let's put away work and like put away your phone and like protect your space and time for sleep, right? Those are the more typical things that you hear, like sleep hygiene type things. But if someone has insomnia and they're anxious about sleep and they're going to bed too early and causing more insomnia for themselves, the last thing I'm going to do is say, go to bed earlier, put away your phone, like protect time for sleep. Instead, I'm going to say, like, no, stay up, watch that show, like scroll Instagram, have fun, do whatever. It's okay. Read a book. Don't go to bed until you're sleepy. Get on your phone. It's okay. Watch a show. It's okay. Any stimulation you get from the light is going to be way worse than the stimulation of you being anxious and like doing the math in your head about how much sleep you're going to get. So, depending on what the sleep problem is, I may give opposite advice.
Do the difficulties, do they seem to be pretty solvable?
Yes, sleep problems do tend to be very solvable. Um, we have excellent treatments for all types of sleep disorders and sleep related disorders. And for insomnia, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is considered like one of the crown jewels of CBT because it's so effective and so safe and so lacking in side effects and so brief. As far as therapies go, it's usually like 4 to 8 sessions, and someone is done. That it's considered the first line treatment for insomnia disorder, ahead of any medication, ahead of any sort of sleep hygiene education. CBTI is the gold standard treatment for insomnia. And most people don't know that. So I think the sleep field, we have a marketing problem. We don't have a effective treatments problem.
Marketing problem in the sense that like people don't, like, what do you mean by that exactly?
People don't know that there are treatments that work.
Are you ready for some harder/listener submitted questions?
Sure.
Is it just about the time, or is it about when people should sleep?
Excellent question. It's both, and there's some evidence that the regularity of the timing of your sleep may be even more predictive of your health down the line than how much sleep you get. And that's because we have circadian rhythms, which are our close to 24-hour body clocks that we have in all of our cells and our biological systems that really run the machinery of our body. And those rhythms are so powerful that when they get confused, then everything just gets derailed. Everything goes out the window. So, your sleep wake pattern, for example, if you usually get up at 6 a.m. on weekdays, but then you get up at 9 a.m. on weekends, that's like flying yourself from New York to Los Angeles and back every weekend. You're jet lagging yourself across the whole continental United States. And your circadian clocks are going to be very confused about what time it is. And as a result of that, worse sleep, of course, at night, worse functioning during the day, worse energy levels, worse mood, and even worse metabolism, higher likelihood of high blood pressure, high blood sugars, things like that. So, if we take good care of our circadian rhythms, take good care of our body clocks, then we take good care of everything.
Does it matter in the sense of when I go to bed? And maybe to put numbers on it, let's just say, sake of argument, I need 7 hours. Does it matter if I get that 7 hours from 10 to 5 or if I get it from midnight to 7?
It depends on your chronotype. So your chronotype is your personal biologically hardwired tendency or biological preference to be sleeping and waking at certain times. So some of us are hardwired to be night owls. Myself, I'm an example of that, where I am really alive in the evening and I think my best and I wrote my whole book, between the hours of 8 and 11 p.m. That's like when I'm most my creative and productive self. And I sleep well when I go to bed late and get to sleep in late. That's like my ideal. If I can live on that schedule, I will get my best quality sleep. Those same hours, but shifted like several hours earlier, for example, which I'm having to do now because I have young kids, is not as good quality sleep. So even if the number of hours is the same, it's not going to be as good if it doesn't match my natural chronotype. So that's kind of bad news for a lot of night owls because, this world is designed for morning people. But there are tools we can use to pretty much most of the way, if not all the way, shift our circadian chronotype so that we become we at least mimic having an early chronotype and can function well as a morning person.
Are there differences between men and women?
In terms of
sleep, I guess. There is no more specific version of that question.
Okay, well, women are more prone to insomnia. Women are about time and a half as prone in general, in large part attributable to hormonal changes. So starting at puberty, girls are having more sleep problems than boys already. And then during like pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, women go through these hormonal roller coasters that really can mess with sleep. So not most of my patients, maybe at least a good half of my patients are women who are in their mid 40s, early 50s, going through menopause, perimenopause, and they're experiencing significant sleep changes at that time. But men are more likely to have sleep apnea.
Lighter question. What do you hate more? Caffeine, alarm clocks, or phones at night? But is there a thing that you're just like, as a sleep professional, you're just like, God, they got to get rid of those. I hate those things.
Like if you have one of those like digital clocks that shines like really angry red numbers at you that says like 2:45 a.m. That's probably my least favorite one of those options. Like there are cultures that drink coffee after dinner and it's fine. Phones, I use my phone in bed. I scroll. It's just if you're in your bed for like hours doom scrolling, probably that's not helpful.
Oh, so it's not the object, it's the emotion the object makes you feel. That is kind of the problem.
It's the baggage that comes with the thing. Like if your phone is just for like watching puppy videos and like chatting with your friends, it's probably fine. Like dim the screen, don't make it super bright in your face in the middle of the night. But if you like to read the news and like scroll, like Reddit, but like it's like only the angry subreddits, like probably not. So it's the function of the thing.
How long should it generally take you to fall asleep?
Excellent question. So falling asleep is not like turning out a light. It's not like falling off a cliff. It's like going down a gentle slope. So you're actually starting to go down that slope probably even before you get into bed. Like your body temperature is probably falling, your cortisol's probably falling, your melatonin's rising, your muscles are relaxing, your brain's getting a little foggier. So like you're already going down that slope and you're going down it gradually, and like you might do a little like blip up and then you go down again, kind of like that. So, if it's taking you like 15 minutes, half an hour to fall asleep, that's a pretty reasonable ballpark. It's okay if it's sometimes longer. It's okay if it's sometimes shorter. But if it's like consistently a lot shorter, like your head hits the pillow, within a couple minutes you're out, that means you're probably sleep deprived and you're not getting enough opportunity to sleep because you're not supposed to fall asleep that fast. Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, I feel personally attacked.
Sorry.
That is
yeah.
me. That is like I'm down in I'm probably down in 30 seconds. Oh
Yeah.
no, that's
So
not good.
between that and the you like really needing your coffee in the morning, I'm guessing you're probably sleep deprived.
Oh
I'm
no.
sorry. Yeah, sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
What would your advice though to be to to people in our society where the kind of thing is like, okay, for me, well, you just
Uh-huh.
power through it. Like there's no more hours in the day. Like what would your advice be to somebody like, do you just have to suck it up or can you really make these kind of changes?
Suck what up exactly?
You're going to be tired for the rest of your life. That's just how it's going to be. Cuz
Because you're choosing to prioritize other things. So you're like
yes.
intentionally saying like sleep is lower on my priority list, so it's okay if I'm getting not getting enough.
Yeah. Would my life be better? Not to make this about me, right? Like, but would somebody who is kind of, I'm going to be chronically sleep deprived and that's just how it's going to be because I don't want to give something else up. Would their
Uh-huh.
life be better if no, you should just get the sleep and then maybe these other things, your body would operate
Mm.
more efficiently?
I think I understand what you're getting at. So, um, often people find that when they sleep better, they end up being more efficient and productive during the day. So they might be getting done 2 hours worth of work within an hour, let's say. So in that case, they're not really losing time. They might be gaining time. Or the quality of their work is better. They're more creative, or the quality of their relationships might be better because they're, less cranky or something like that. So, I don't like to come in and wag my finger and say, you should get more sleep because that's not my life, right? That's not my value system that I don't want to impose on someone else. So I very much support people making their own value judgments on, okay, I am given this one life. What in it is most important to me? And what am I willing to prioritize or sacrifice to overall live a life that aligns with my most cherished values? I think that's what it comes down to. And while you're doing that decision-making process or like shuffling up the priorities, just remember that if you're worried that sleeping more will cause you to sacrifice other things, maybe do a little experiment for just a short term to see if you sleep just a little bit more, does it really reduce your work quantity or quality or other areas of life quantity or quality? And maybe be open to the possibility that sleeping closer to meeting your needs with sleep can actually help you to live the other aspects of your life more fully and more aligned with your values.
You've convinced me. Was all it took. It's so weird how sometimes somebody just pointing something out to you is like, oh yeah, I should do that. It's kind of stupid the way that I just keep stubbornly doing the thing that I'm doing. What are we still trying to learn about sleep? Like, is there something that
Oh,
we're still
so
trying to
much.
figure out?
Yes. And this is going to sound crazy, but we're still trying to figure out just exactly what sleep is and why we do it. We have some answers, but we don't have the full answers. Like, why do some animals sleep, 22 hours a day? Why do, those penguins micro sleep like 10,000 micro naps a day, whereas we have more consolidated sleep? And that there are animals that can sleep with half of their brain at a time while they're flying in the air or while they're swimming, So it's like there's just so much that we don't know about sleep and the factors that affect sleep and the way sleep changes. It's a huge mystery. Like we think, like so many patients come to me and say like, okay, I think I figured out that if I do this during the day and if I do that and if I cut off coffee at this time and if I exercise exactly this amount, then I will have like done the perfect algorithm to buy myself a perfect night of sleep. And it's like, no, you've probably controlled four out of like 10,000 factors. And we don't even know what most of those factors are. And even if we did, you probably can't control most of them. So, chill out about it. We don't need to control everything about sleep.
Wait, penguins sleep 10,000 times a day?
Not all penguins. There's this specific species of they're called chinstrap penguins, and they micro nap like seconds at a time, or even less than a second at a time. So they're just constantly in and out, in and out, in and out of sleep, which sounds exhausting to me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to do
sound,
that.
yeah, that sounds like a bad strategy. That's pretty much all the questions we have. If people want to learn more about you, I know you got a book, all that kind of stuff. Where can people find it?
Yeah. So can I show my book?
Oh,
real
yeah,
quick?
100%.
Here. So here's my book, Hello Sleep. It's for people with insomnia. And they can find me on my website, drjadewu.com. The doctor is spelled DR, so drjadewu.com. And I'm around. They can find me. They can reach out through my website and whatnot.
It's the easy.